Hello, Mzansi. Welcome to it. It's yet another episode of Game On as we, look at the danger of those at the bottom of the log out in Germany, in England, as well as here in South Africa, including the drama to the top. We will, of course, be speaking later on with regards to the South African game to Jerry's Kosana. Right now, we start off in talking about the English game with Shane McGregor. Shane, great to be in your company. Let's switch things up a bit today. Let's start by looking at the bottom of the table. Now, we've got Southampton that are pretty much done and dusted in as far as their future. They're looking like they headed straight back down to the championship. But Leicester, Ipswich, both in 17 points, and 5 points, both of them behind Wolves. Let's talk about that race at the bottom.
Yeah, good to be here again. Yeah, as we said, Southampton are dead and buried, and unfortunately for them, they were set in ways early in the season, playing from the back, conceded a lot of goals like that, and they didn't change it, and they're going to be gone. Well, they're not going to be gone; they are gone. They're going to be in the championship. The other two, out of the other two, I think Ipswich out of those two have got the biggest chance. Though I think that they're both in trouble. I do. Wolves. You look at Wolves and you look how they have improved. They're not a bad team. It's just that they've been unlucky this whole season. Lucky with injuries. That's changing. A lot of their players are coming back. So when you look at it overall, can anyone of the other two catch them?
Catch Wolves, 5 point difference. I can't
see it, 5 points difference. Yeah. There's 11 games to go, so can it happen? I can't see it. I think Wolves will be safe. It's going to be a bunk fight out of those two.
The form guide also sort of tells us a story here. I mean, for Leicester, 1 win in their last 5. For Ipswich, no wins in the last 5. The best they've been able to do is 1 draw out of the last 5. So both those sides struggling for form.
Struggling big time for form, and at this time of the season, this is the most critical time. People don't realise the stress and pressure that players go under in the English league. And at this stage, it's a lot of tired legs. A lot of people are actually looking to get to the end of the season, and unfortunately for them, they haven't got the resources to bring players in. So that's the big problem.
When you look at the sides that are hovering just above Wolves, does this come as a surprise to you? 13th spot, Tottenham. 14th, Man United. 15th, West Ham. Everton have been thereabouts. But the other three I've mentioned, Tottenham, Manchester United, and West Ham at 13th, 14th, 15th. Does that not come as a surprise to you?
A bit of a surprise. Spurs, I understand, because of their injury woes. They really had a long list of injuries. Man United, I'm not surprised. Man United, it's the worst Man United I've ever seen. I mean, worst Man United side I've ever seen. And I'm saying that categorically, worst side I've seen. For me, West Ham are one of those teams up and down. I mean, I don't understand them. One season they're brilliant, the next season they're terrible. But no building for the future. As I say, but Spurs I understand because of all the injury woes. But Man United, big trouble. Man United now are laying off people. They laid off 200 people 2 weeks
behind
ago.
the scenes.
Behind the scenes, So if you look at that, there's big money troubles there. So where are they going to go for in the future?
Now, when you look at the top, 67 points for Liverpool, Arsenal on 54. Again, I have to ask you, maybe on a weekly basis now, is the race done and dusted?
I'm a Liverpool supporter. I don't want to put my eyes on them and say over and done with. But the way Arsenal play at the moment, without a striker, it's a big worry. They're not getting the goals, and that's the big worry. They're not scoring a lot of goals. So, Liverpool just seemed to. I actually watched them midweek in Europe. They were outplayed by PSG completely, but they got a 1-0 result. So that just shows you they know how to eke out victories.
In fact, the goal issue with Arsenal is quite clear. They've got a better defensive record than Liverpool, because another 3-goal difference. But Liverpool have scored 61, Arsenal 51.
That's the thing.
That's
they can't score. No, they can't score, and that's a big problem with Arsenal at the moment. Playing without a striker, and they've also got players out injured. We must remember that. So you got to be aware that they got their top players are out injured. So injuries play a big part of this, and Liverpool started like that in the beginning of the season, but then they came right with all the injuries. So
Now, let's talk fixtures coming up. Big one, starting off shortly. Nottingham Forest against Manchester City. Huge game, this.
Massive game. Forest have been the surprise team in the season. I think a draw's on the cards, to be very honest.
Crystal Palace, arguably the most improved side from the beginning of the season up till now. They're up against Ipswich, of course, with their troubles.
I think Ipswich can actually get a draw out of this.
Palace is at home, though.
I know. I'm still saying I think
Okay.
Ipswich can get a draw here, but you've got to be leaning towards Palace.
Liverpool at home to Southampton.
Oh, wow.
Oof.
You know, stranger things have happened, but you can't see anything but a Liverpool victory.
Now, Chelsea in the race for a top 4 spot against Leicester. Again, another side that's in trouble with
Exactly. And when these teams are battling like this, they've got nothing to lose.
Sure.
They're going to go forward. Chelsea are unpredictable. On their day, they can beat any team, but you've got to catch them on their day. I'm don't even want to stay out. I'm going to stay out of this altogether. I've actually taken a bet already for the weekend. I left it out.
Now, can we say the same thing about Manchester United at home to Arsenal? On their day, against these big sides, sometimes United have performed over the last couple of years. Can they do likewise against Arsenal?
Have you been looking at my notes? That's exactly what I said. Man United, when they come up against big teams, they do well.
Yeah.
And Arsenal misfiring in front, I can see a draw in the cards. I really do. Just because of that, if you look at it on paper, Arsenal should whip them.
Yeah.
But because of exactly what we said, Man United lift their game, Arsenal misfiring, draw.
Anything's possible. Now, there's another game that's of importance. We discussed West Ham and where they are, but Newcastle again in the race for the top 4. We can't ignore that. West Ham is at home here. Do you see it being smooth sailing for Newcastle, or maybe a bit of an uphill battle? I would argue uphill battle.
Uphill battle, because when Newcastle go away, if you look at their away form, it's not the greatest. And I don't understand this team. They blow hot and cold as well. They haven't been consistent throughout the year. At home, their 12th man, the crowd lift them completely. Away from home, it's a different story. This is a difficult one to call. It really is a difficult one to call. West Ham will want to get the points, but so do Newcastle to keep that race going. I don't know. I'm staying out of it altogether.
Plenty of talk about their striker Isak as well, and with regards to interest from other clubs. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the off-season. That's how I look at what's happening out in England. It's interesting at the top, the top 4 race, and down at the bottom as well. Shane is not done for now. He'll take a little bit of a break. He'll come back later. We'll discuss what's happening out in Germany. Between that, Jerry Skosana will step in.